Well, good morning. Thanks for showing up for this show today. This is the first of many. We're starting the series, Caring for the Elderly, What You Need to Know. And we're going to be talking about so many different things on this program. Today, we're going to focus on just an overview of the different senior living options that are available in the Houston market. I'm going to kind of give you an idea of what some of them may cost, what you get, what you don't get, what's available out there. You may have an elderly parent that maybe they live in Missouri or they live in North Carolina, and you want to bring them here, and you want to figure out what is available and what do they really need. So we're going to dive into that. I do want to let you know that you can put comments in the comments section, and I'll be looking at those on the side screen for me from time to time to see if there's any questions that somebody has. So if you have a question, put it in the comments. I'll be happy to try and answer as many questions as I can get to. This program is going to be held every Monday at 11 a.m. However, I know that you're all busy. I am too. Sometimes you can't make it. I get it. It will be recorded, and it will be on this Facebook page for you to see whenever you're ready. So you just have to go to the video tab, and there it will be. All of the programs will be in one place. In fact, I'll probably put them together in a playlist to make it easier for you. So that said, we are going to be bringing in a lot of experts. I'm going to bring in elder law attorneys. I'm going to bring in experts from the Alzheimer's Association. I'm going to bring in doctors. I'm going to bring in nurses. I'm going to bring in social workers. I'm just going to bring in a ton of professionals to help you understand better this elder care system, because it can be quite confusing. I know when I first got involved with it, when my mother was ill, it was very confusing. There were so many different services available, and I just didn't know what we needed in the beginning. So I want to try to make it a little bit easier for families out there than I had it, and that's one of the reasons why I created the website, Find Houston Senior Care. You can go there and do a lot of search. I've got a lot of blogs and things like that that you can read, a lot of articles on different subjects. You can search for a provider in Houston, that sort of thing. But we're going to be doing these weekly programs too to help get you educated and understand what you need so you can move forward. So senior living, let's talk about what's available. Senior living is, there's a lot of different options out there, and it depends on what your needs are. So I'm going to kind of break it into two sections. You've got senior living that provides care and senior living that doesn't provide care. Now, some of the options that don't provide care, you can bring in your own care. That's not a problem. So, but we're going to separate it that way. So we're going to start with the ones that don't provide care, because we're going to kind of go through the stages of life, right? What you might need in the beginning when you're younger and you're healthy and you still are active, what's available for that. And then moving on down to when maybe you have some health issues and you need care. Maybe you need just a little bit of care. Maybe you need a lot of care. What's available, what to look at, what is out there. So starting off, of course, staying in your home is always something that people want to do and are excited about doing. They want to stay in their own home as much as possible. But sometimes that's not an option. For instance, your mom lives in North Carolina. There is no family in North Carolina anymore. Your brothers and sisters have scattered across the country, and mom is alone now. Dad has passed away. You can see that she's getting lonely, and maybe life is getting to be a little bit of a struggle for her. You would like her to be close to you. So you want to bring her to Houston, but you don't want her living with you. Or maybe you do, but maybe it doesn't work. Maybe for whatever reason, maybe your house is not big enough. Maybe it's not set up correctly. For whatever reason, you want her to find her own space. So let's take a look at what's out there. Number one, you can move into a 55 plus community. And when I say a 55 plus community, I'm talking about one that you buy a house in. So there's lots of those around town. Del Webb is one that comes to mind. That's probably the biggest one out there. But I know out in Town Lakes, there's one. I know there's some up in the Woodlands, Kingwood. They're all over town. And what these communities are is they're homes. Sometimes they have duplexes or townhomes. But for the most part, they're homes that you purchase. They're yours. And they have a lot of services, okay? They don't offer care per se. If you needed a caregiver, you would need to hire that on your own. But they do provide a lot of services, a lot of social interaction. They usually have a huge community room. I know there's one out in Katy. I think it's called the Heritage. Anybody that knows names of ones, feel free to post them in the comment section for other people to know. You usually pay a pretty hefty fee per month to live in these communities because you're paying for those extra benefits and services. So they're not going to cook meals for you, okay? They don't do that. But usually they take care of the yard, maybe just the front yard. Some of the communities, it will be front and back. They'll take care of a lot of the maintenance of the area. They'll have a lot of programs for seniors in their community center, activities, things for you to gather together with other people. And let me tell you, as you age, social interaction is so important. If I brought in somebody from the Alzheimer's Association today, they would tell you the same thing. Social interaction is so important to our mental health, also our physical health. It's one of the best things you can do for yourself. So being in a community like this has a lot of benefits, but you still own your own home. And for some people, that's appealing. That's what they want. For others, they're tired of home ownership. They're tired of worrying about what happens when the plumbing gets plugged up and the air conditioner is on the fritz, and they don't want to have to deal with any of that stuff. And maybe that's where you are, or your mother is, or your dad is. Maybe they just don't want to deal with it anymore. So there's 55 plus apartments, or sometimes there's 60 plus apartments. They may be called senior living apartments or retirement apartments. It's all quite confusing because a lot of the names get intermingled. Okay, but for the purposes of this call, we're going to call them 55 plus apartments. These are apartment homes that you can rent on a month-to-month basis. They usually have a regular lease, like a regular apartment complex. So you probably will have a 6-month or a year lease or something like that. You don't have really any services. They don't offer any meals. They don't offer transportation. They may have some limited transportation, and they may bring in vendors from time to time to do a talk, and that vendor will bring lunch, which is great, but it's not like regular meals that you could count on, okay? It's independent living. You have your own car. You come and go as you please. This is for the either younger crowd, or really it's not about age. It's about health, right? I've seen 90-year-olds that are in better shape than 50-year-olds, quite honestly. So this is a place for people who are still in pretty good physical condition, and they're able to get around on their own. They want to live independently, but they really don't want to live in an apartment complex that has kids, teenagers, and people coming and going at all hours of the night. These apartments are perfect. So again, you rent them. They may have some social interaction, some gatherings and all. Most apartment complexes do that, whether they're 55 plus or just regular apartments. But the 55 plus ones usually do. The next step up is called independent living, and there's not a whole lot of these in Houston. I'm really a big fan of the independent living. I think it's a great concept. It's like the 55 plus apartment. You get to pick your own apartment. You have your own full apartment, a bedroom, a living room, a kitchen, just like any other apartment. And some of them are just absolutely fabulous. And like any other apartment complex, they come in varying size and prices and styles. So you can get very inexpensive independent living apartments, like maybe the Tremont is an example that comes to my mind, or you can go with more high-end complexes, and they offer a lot more benefits and services. But let's just talk about what is independent living, okay? I'm not going to get into the details of all the different ones out there. You can go to the Find Houston Senior Care website and start doing some research on that. We don't have all of them listed, but we do have a good number of them listed. So an independent living community is great. My mother-in-law lived in one when she first moved here. They offer meals, and it's going to vary by the community. Some of them offer 3 full meals a day. Others will offer 2 meals, or they may have a meal plan where you get so many meals per month and you get to choose. Kind of like, and remember when you went to college and you had a meal card, a meal ticket? Well, it's kind of that same concept. And you have the flexibility. Maybe you're going to lunch with your daughter today and you don't want to miss a meal that you already paid for, right? So with the meal plan, you pick and choose which meals you're going to partake in. They usually spend a lot of time and energy making sure that they have great meals, because they know that that's important. Nobody's going to want to live in a community where the meals are not good, right? So they're going to have a lot of really great dinners and things like that. They'll offer breakfast. Usually, even the ones that have are set up to where you pick and choose which meals you want, they'll usually offer 3 meals a day, but you get to choose which meals you're going to eat. So good. I see a few people have joined the group. Adrian, Crystal, thanks for being on the call. If you have any questions or you want to make a comment, feel free to. Again, this is Catherine Watson with Find Houston Senior Care. We're talking about we're talking about senior living today, all types of senior living. Right now, I'm talking about independent living and what that means. One of the reasons why we chose independent living for my mother-in-law was she still wanted her independence, right? But she needed some services. She needed the meals because she wasn't going to cook for herself. Then no way, no how. I knew that. And but one thing that really sold us, and most of the independent living communities will have a home care company on site that you can hire. And the real benefit of that is I could hire the home care company to come in for just 15 minutes. My mother-in-law didn't need a lot of help. She needed a little bit of help in the beginning. as time went on, she needed more, but in the beginning, she just needed a little bit. She needed transportation, she needed her meals, and she occasionally needed somebody to come in and get her going in the morning. So at the independent living place, she got 3 meals a day. They had transportation that took her to church every week, which was very important for her. They had transportation that also took her to grocery shops. They went on outings to different places, and she really loved that. So that was really important for her. And they had a home care company on site. So we hired the home care company to come in twice a day. They'd come in the morning for 15 minutes, turn down her bed, start her coffee, put out a little breakfast because she wasn't getting dressed to go into the kitchen, the dining room to eat, okay? So she had a sweet bowl or something in her apartment. And the caregiver would kind of set everything up and then encourage her to take her medications. In the evening, they would come back and they would turn down the bed and kind of get things ready for her, take out her pajamas, help hang up her clothes, help her undress if she needed help with that. She had a lot of arthritis, and sometimes it was hard to move. It was hard to do things. So the independent living was great, and it's great for a lot of people. Now, at a certain point, Pat got to where she couldn't do independent anymore. She started needing more care. She was falling. She was not able to care for herself. In an independent living community, though they may have a care company on site, that care company is going to leave in the evening, okay? They're usually there during the day, and then in the evening, they're gone. Well, when Pat started needing more care, it was time to move her from independent living. When she started needing somebody there at night, then it was time to move. So you've got to look at what the needs are. If your aging parent is doing great on their own, they still drive occasionally, but maybe they have some bad days and it would be nice to have a group to go together with to the grocery store. Maybe they could use the social interaction a little bit. Maybe they need the meals cooked for them, that sort of thing. Then independent living may be the perfect place. And I'm a firm believer that the longer you can keep somebody independent, the better it's going to be for them. But you also have to look at what's going on and safety. And when Pat kept falling, and she would fall during the middle of the night, and the independent living place did have somebody in the business office, and they would answer a call, but they would call us and say, you need to come take care of your mother. She's fallen again, and we don't have caregivers on site to do that. So 2 o'clock in the morning, why does it always happen at 2 o'clock in the morning, huh? I don't know, but it does. 2 o'clock in the morning, we'd head down there and take care of Patty Joe. And then we realized it's time to move. So assisted living was the next step. And assisted living in Houston and in all of Texas is listed as assisted living type A or assisted living type B. Okay, those are the two types. Type A assisted living does have care around the clock. However, the care that's offered in a type A facility is for people who are still able to move on their own. They're able, if there's an emergency and the caregiver says you need to evacuate, that person must be able to get up and get out the door on their own. Now, that doesn't mean they can't be in a wheelchair. As long as they're able to ambulate on their own, they're able to get that wheelchair moving and get out the door, then they can qualify for type A. If they cannot do that physically or mentally, we've got to think about cognitive ability also. If they cannot follow those directions, and get out the door on their own, then they need to be in a type B facility. Okay, type B facility is going to be able to care for somebody that needs more care. And quite frankly, with my mother-in-law, she got to the point where she couldn't walk very well. She had rheumatoid arthritis. She really, if she tried to get up on her own without assistance, she would usually fall. So there needed to be a caregiver there all the time to help her. That was very important. She also had the beginning stages of dementia. So cognitively, she was not always there. I'm not sure if she really could have followed the directions if somebody said there's an emergency and you have to get out the door. She might have gotten confused. So that made her not qualified for a type A. Most of the assisted living facilities out there are type B. That's just the norm. Now, you've got two types of assisted living, okay? It gets more complicated, people. So we've got two types of assisted living. You've got a type A and a type B. We know that. Now, we're going to take that type B and divide it even further. You've got your large assisted living facilities, and then you've got your smalls. The small assisted living facilities are going to be for people, they're going to care for people 16 and less. Okay, so usually between 3 and 16 people will be in a small assisted living facility. They are licensed, okay? They have to jump through the same hoops that the large facilities do. They have to follow the same rules, the same regulations, no difference there. Okay, so the quality of care is going to be on the same level as far as the state is concerned. They've got to have the same systems in place. They've got to have somebody managing the medications for all of the people in the facility. Those medications must be locked. I mean, there's a whole host of regulations and requirements that they have to follow because the state license assisted living, okay? Independent living does not have to have a license. Assisted living does, and the difference is we're moving into the care phase now. You're not just renting an apartment anymore. You're not just finding a great place to live with lots of fun activities and meals and all of that. You're paying for care. Okay, that's what you're really paying for, is the care. And I can't drill that in enough. It's so important to know. It's all about the care. What kind of care are you going to receive? So yes, while it's important and you want to have a nice, pretty place for mom, you also want to look at the care. What kind of care are they delivering? How are the people being cared for who live in this facility? So the large assisted living facilities can be huge. They can care for anywhere from 16 plus, so they may care for upwards to 100 people or more. A lot of them care for about 30 or 40. They have care around the clock, so they will tell you they have a nurse, and they usually have a nurse on staff, but that doesn't mean she's there around the clock 24/7. She's available and on call. There will be caregivers, however, that are there on staff around the clock 24/7. So if mom gets up in the middle of the night and she falls, there will be somebody there to help, okay? There will be somebody there checking in on her. If it's important to you that mom has someone checking on her in the middle of the night, then assisted living is where you want to go. Okay, so assisted living, large and small, which is better? People ask me that all the time. And the truth is there is no one place that's better. It depends on what your situation is and how much care you need. Okay? If you go into a larger facility and you need a whole lot of care, you need somebody with eyes on you all the time. then you're going to want to probably look at some of the smaller facilities because they usually have a higher caregiver ratio. Usually there's one caregiver for every 4 or 5 residents in the care home, okay? In the larger facilities, it's usually more like 1 to 8. And that may be just fine. Now, if your mom is really active, she still gets around, she's still walking, maybe with a walker, maybe on her own, but she still needs around-the-clock care, you feel, and you're going to go into assisted living, she might get bored in a smaller home. So she may need the stimulation of a larger facility where there are more things going on all day long, all kinds of different activities and interactions. Look at both of them, and we're going to delve into this more later. I'm going to have some more in-depth programs to talk to you about small assisted livings, large assisted livings. I'm going to bring in some experts in these fields to talk about these different options and why one may be the best option for you today and another one may be a best option for you tomorrow. Okay. So we've covered assisted living. By the way, I forgot to tell you, all of this is on your pocketbook. Unfortunately, Medicare does not pay for these types of living facilities, okay? Occasionally, an assisted living, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 in Houston that do accept Medicaid, and we're talking Medicaid, not Medicare, okay? Most of you are familiar with Medicare. We're going to talk later about Medicaid and Medicare because that's a whole nother show. If I get into that now, I've only got 3 minutes left and I'll never make it. So we'll have a whole nother program on Medicare and Medicaid. I'll bring in some experts to explain the differences and what you need to know about that. So we've covered 55 plus, we've covered senior living communities such as Del Webb, we've covered 55 plus apartments, we've covered independent living, assisted living type A, type B, we've covered small assisted livings, large assisted livings, and then of course there's nursing homes. A lot of time referred to as skilled nursing facilities. The term nursing home kind of lost favor over the years and people don't really like that term anymore. So we don't use it as much, but it's basically it's a nursing home. So there's not a whole lot to say about nursing homes. Unfortunately, in Texas, the nursing home quality is not as good as I would like to see it be. If you have the option to go into assisted living, you certainly want to look at that option. I understand sometimes for financial reasons you may not have that option and you have to look at a nursing home. So we will be talking about nursing homes later. I'll bring in some people to talk about what you need to look for if you're looking for a nursing home, what to plan to do once you get mom into a nursing home and who can help. Okay, so we're going to hopefully bring in an ombudsman to talk. And if you don't know what an ombudsman is, you need to follow this program every week. And it's 11:29. I can't believe I'm already through this program. It went fast. I know there's so much more that I want you to know that you need to know. But we're going to be here every Monday. And this one is recorded. It will be listed always on the Facebook page. So you'll be able to come back, review it, get the information you need, and you'll be able to see each week's segment that way. So thanks for attending, and I look forward to helping anybody that needs any help. Feel free to post your questions. Even after the video has finished, we're no longer live. Post your questions, because I always monitor this Facebook page, and I'll be able to try to answer your questions or refer you to somebody who can. I don't have all the answers, guys. I really don't, but I do know people who have the answers. So together, we'll get out there and get the information to all the families that need this. Thanks again. Have a great day.